Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Miracle Mind meeting, to come to listen to Master Teacher, for instance, but also to listen to say what is given us through A Course in Miracles, because this is in fact a continuation of the question, what is really A Course in Miracles? So we use today the Manual for Teachers, like the very first episode of the Manual for Teachers, the third part of the book. And who are God's teachers is the question. Who are God's teachers? And so that's one thing we'll look at, and we're going to start with that. And another thing then is Master Teacher teaches to us for probably 15 minutes the third episode from that same talk. It's like the scripture of Resurrected Man, and we're going to listen to that. So that's the third episode. After that, we're also going to take a look deeper and deeper to what is actually being expressed, and to make sure that we receive all the richness that is in there, so all the gifts that are given in it, and not missing anything. So it's great to go through what is being shared as a new discovery of, say, what actually is going on with me in this recognition of the truth of who I am. Because that's behind all of this, that's the only thing that really matters. Now, starting with the Manual for Teachers, the first segment of that, of the first section of it, who are God's teachers? A teacher of God is anyone who chooses to be one. His qualifications consist solely in this: somehow, somewhere, he has made a deliberate choice in which he did not see his interest apart from someone else's. He did not see his interests as apart from someone else's. Once he has done that, his road is established and his direction is sure. A light has entered the darkness. It may be a single light, but that is enough. He has entered an agreement with God. Even if he does not yet believe in him, he has become a bringer of salvation. He has become a teacher of God. So this is a beautiful start. It's like you recognize your interest as not being separate from your brother's interest. Another way of saying that is you recognize the pain in your brother. You recognize his pain, and you don't separate yourself off from it, but you recognize it as your pain is my pain. As long as there's pain, there's work to do, so you could say. There's something that asks for salvation. There's something that needs to be set free. As an appearance of darkness need to be shined away by the light that is given. Well, the recognition that you're not separate from your brother is what that light is. In that decision, you can say you entered an agreement with God, and you have become a bringer of salvation because of this agreement. And you have become a teacher of God. That is all. Where do they come from? Well, they come from all over the world. They come from all religions and from no religion. They are the ones who have answered. The call is universal. The call is universal. All right? The call is universal. Everyone received the call but now are you going to answer? So they are the ones who have answered. The call is universal. It goes on all the time, everywhere. It calls for teachers to speak for it and redeem the world. Many hear it. Many hear the call, but few will answer. But it is all a matter of time. Everyone will answer in the end, but the end can be long, long way off. It is because of this plan that the plan of the teachers was established. Their function is to save time. Each one begins as a single light, but with the call at its center, it is a light that cannot be limited, and each one saves 1,000 years of time as the world judges it. To the call itself, time has no meaning. There's a course for every teacher of God. The form of the course varies greatly, so the particular teaching aids involved. It can differ completely, but the content of the course never changes. Its central theme is always God's Son is guiltless, and in his innocence is his salvation. It can be taught by actions or thoughts, in words or soundlessly, in any language or in no language, in any place or time or manner. It does not matter who the teacher was before he heard the call. It doesn't matter who the teacher was before he heard the call. He has become a savior by his answering. He has seen someone else as himself. He has therefore found his own salvation and the salvation of the world. In his rebirth is the world reborn. Now you want some biblical references? Here are some. Look at this. To give light to those who sit in darkness and the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. That's Luke 1. John 1 says it like this. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. Here another part from Luke 1. To give knowledge of salvation to his people by the remission of their sins. Or Matthew says it this way. So the last will be the first, and the first last. For many are called, but few chosen. So that's clear in itself, what is being shared here. That's really wonderful. I love it, because it comes down to, and yeah, to start first off, this is like the one thing that Master Teacher has always like emphasized is the fact, when are you going to teach truth? When are you going to teach, demonstrate truth in receiving it for yourself? When are you going to do that? Are you still slipping away into darkness, you could say, or death? Or are you really going to answer this and follow that? When are you going to teach truth? When are you going to teach, starting to teach? And that's why the teacher manual is like, yeah, of course we want to use that too. The recognition that is given in it is absolutely amazing. Reading just the first 3 paragraphs, you have lots of recognition. It's like, oh, that must be about me. Yes, I recognize the pain in my brother. I recognize that it's not separate from me. I feel responsible for what is going on. In other words, like, I know that if there's a God that created me perfectly, that I'm an actual child of light, I cannot say move about in darkness. If I know that, like, no, there's something there for me. I actually have to be aware of my function in it. I'm not going to confirm any darkness any longer. is basically my assignment. I'm not going to confirm that, validate that, give that attention, say, fantasize about it, on and on and on. You know, it's like more than ever. Look at this time that you find yourself in. Look around in the time. Like, literally, like, if you would see the world as a representation of what you are thinking, it is a world full of darkness, entering into dark ages at times. It looks like that. Now, I am not going to confirm that as in reality. I'm not going to do that. I know that this world that I'm seeing is of my own making and that it does not exist. So there must be a different way to look at this. That's A Course in Miracles. It's like, there must be a different way to look at this. This cannot be it. Simply as that. Like, this cannot be it. And so everything is supporting that in this course, in this what Master Teacher is pointing to. And to give you a little bit of a context, does he know what he's talking about? Did he recognize his pain to be the same as the pain of his brother? Well, a nice example or anecdote, you could say, is this. He went, when he was 18 years old, he was a US Marine. He was in Nagasaki. He was checking with his squadron. He was checking if the bomb that just had fallen on Nagasaki, if it was successful. Now, if you can imagine what an incredible disaster that must have been to even go there and watch that. So the one thing, and this is something that he shared when I was with him, is like, the one thing that happened was this, is that he was sitting, he suddenly, say, met a Japanese soldier, and they were both looking at the incredible devastation of 150,000 people being wiped out in just one boom, you could say, looking at it, and they looked at each other in the recognition of, well, you tell me who the winner is here. So they shared the pain of what they saw together. Now you got to see it like when Master Teacher is speaking, that was his reference, you could say. That was the reference point from where he started, trying to bring that into his idea about himself and seeing that that was an impossibility and moving further into this cannot be it, there must be another way. And eventually that brought him to the place where he started teaching truth, up say, to the moment that he had no choice anymore but to do that. This is where it started for him. So that as a context for where he comes from, we're going to listen to, say, 15 minutes of the talk, Scripture of Resurrected Man.
I underlined a couple other ones. Okay. I want to put this on because in the Course in Miracles, we're going to be dealing with the hardware of spirituality. Okay. This is a statement that as a human consciousness contained within a body, you can become a divine realization and still be contained within in the apparent earth. It will be a statement that there finally is no difference between what you call a particle and a wave, that there's no difference between the thickness of your self-conception and the reality of you in association with yourself. This is what this will say. Contrary to what limited perceptual mind believes, there is nothing abstract about enlightened mind. Whole mind is in no way representational. It does not have thoughts, but rather is the thought. What's happening to your new minds is, instead of having associate perceptual thoughts, you're beginning to create. A lot of you guys are beginning to express yourself from your whole new perceptual association with your whole new self-identity, which Jesus calls true perception. Okay. How does perceptual mind observe you when you do that? It can only observe you with its own perceptual relationship with you. It can't see whole mind. Perhaps it can see its constancy. Perhaps it can look at the results of its denial of whole mind. But finally it must come to that through its own revelation, mustn't it? But first it's going to have to deal with the hardware. This is a resurrected body.
Yes.
That's fact.
Yes.
Okay, good. If this is just a dream, you must take this dream body and make it whole in your dream association. Okay? Listen. It is exactly what it says. It does not have thoughts, but rather is the thought. It is exactly what it says. An enlightened human mind is momentarily an embodiment of reality. We are trying to teach you through continuing miraculous occurrences that by not supporting relationship associations of your projected imagery, the image will become whole and all-inclusive unto itself. The very highest form of enlightenment thought is A Course in Miracles. While by necessity written in a perceptual mode, it is an incredible assertion of inclusive immediacy. It is itself a totality rather than a statement of the possibility of wholeness. That's nice. This is what you are, and this is what you're doing here. Isn't that amazing that this then becomes philosophy and it's religion? In a moment it's going to have to become science, isn't it? It's going to have to teach quantum reality. It's going to have to teach away from Newtonian or objective physics, isn't it? Huh? Is that all in the Course in Miracles? Sure. All right. 2 more and we'll be out of here. Okay. Miracle working defined. Okay. Here's the dilemma that you have. The Course in Miracles teaches that all judgment is false. Yes, you must judge in order to relinquish your judgment. Isn't this so? It teaches you to decide not to decide. Why? Then the miracle will happen. Is the moment that you don't make a perceptual decision to project from you your own false reality, that is, bring the past of you into here, what will happen? The miracle. Okay, when I get to the definitions of what a miracle is, this will be very evident to you. Okay. Incidentally, when I'll read to you the principles of a miracle. The reason that there's 50 of them is that it's very difficult to define what a miracle is. It seems very simple, but it's not, because the miracle is an all-inclusive statement. If you looked at what a miracle, you begin to define it, you'd say, God's truth is a miracle. Okay. Now, the principles that I read to you will be 2 things. First, the principle that it is true, and then the principles of the manner in which you come to it. And that's why there's 50 of them. It's sort of, what it does is sort of surround it. Okay, so that you can work from the certainty that the miracle is God creating. Okay, and that you are the obstacle to that. But the necessity is for the negation of your judgmental thought association, because your judgment is inherently based on antecedent thoughts in time that have no reality. Listen. This is for Socrates. This is for real nice minds now. Listen to this. Any judgment to determine the whole truth is always, only, ultimately, a devaluation of the judgmental process. The more you know, the less you know. Okay, what? The more singular you then become in your intent to find the truth. Why? Truth is very simple. How do you do it? With a confrontation with your own mind in regard to what you really are. That's what we're getting you to do. This is the Course in Miracles. Now, Since all judgment is false, obviously, why would it be necessary to judge anything? If God is whole and truth, why are you required to have perceptual thoughts and hold a resistance to this in the tension of your own time associations? All judgment is false. All judgment is only to hold you in the bondage of time, isn't it? All right, but how are we going to do that now? Since all judgment is false, the necessary use of it to arrive at true perception includes the devaluation of the judgmental process through the continuing admission of total ignorance. This is the workbook of the Course. I don't know what anything is. I don't know who I am. Oh, now I know. Why? I didn't prejudge my associations. These are the first 20 lessons of the Course, right? Of what? Okay, of total ignorance. Jesus Christ, A Course in Miracles, is divinely devastating in its assertions of the falsity of its own communicative devices. It literally denies itself in the first chapter. It says we're dealing with an impossible situation. That's the idea that you could actually be separated from God. Okay? I'll read that to you again, and maybe you can see what this says. It's absolutely devastating, isn't it? The whole basis of it is it gives it to you, and then it takes it away from you. It allows you to think about it, and then gives you the tough guy, and says, why don't you look at yourself again? Why don't you see really what you're undergoing here in the transformation? The Course in Miracles is divinely devastating in its assertion of the falsity of its own communicative devices and to the necessity for inclusion of previously disconnected ideas of the mind brought to harmony through unqualified forgiveness, that is, judgment and unconditional love. Now, the result must be in-depth connections of previously intentionally alienated thought forms that lends to the incredible experience of illuminated mind. Welcome home. That's what you're doing. Right. You're letting go of your grievances. All of the things that brought you into this situation of the necessity for you to maintain your identity are being relinquished by you. This is the Course in Miracles. This is what it teaches, and this is all that it teaches. It doesn't teach anything but this. Where do you want to hear this? I don't know. How much pain are you in your associations with yourself? That'll determine it. One more, then I'll stop. Using the workbook. Death is an impossible reaction to the single event of creation. Creation is only action. Reaction to truth is impossible. Death is an interpretation of life, but life interpreted by death is meaningless. Creation is not an interpretive function. It is not God defining himself, but rather God being himself. Conceptual mind requires a definitive truth by which to identify itself and maintain its sense of reality. Listen, there is no logical reason why truth need be identified. That is why conceptual thought is fundamentally illogical, not reasonable. The reasonable conclusion that conceptual thought is inherently conflictual and that defining truth is denying truth is simply the highest reach of the dialectic process. This is the conclusion of necessity to the awakening mind. Why? It now can make a choice to stop denying its source of wholeness by refusing to give credence to its perceptual associations. Listen. Okay. Eternity is reached by a disassociation from time. Time is nothing more than the conceptual distance between cause and effect. I'm thinking that that's going to happen, okay? Coming from time to eternity, then, is only the practice of bringing cause and effect together. The workbook of A Course in Miracles provides uncompromising discipline in the technique of disassociational perceptual thinking to bring about a literal transformation of your perceptual mind. It is a passionate assertion of the insanity of conceptual thought, which is what the earth is, in its denial of single whole truth or God. Okay? Now, you say to me, well, how did I ever get into this? Okay. How come now, here we sit, how come here now you, a human being on the planet Earth, suddenly find yourself sitting in this room in a place called Denver, in a state called Colorado, on a planet Earth, in a galaxy, in whole association with your own mind? And this is what we want to bring you to now, isn't it? Huh? What are we going to tell you? That in time, all right, okay, at any moment, you can decide to utilize your perceptual associations, okay, through the administering of God or wholeness contained within you at the end of this time association, to make the declaration that you are whole and that truth and love and heaven is all around you. Okay? That's a fact. That's what we want you to do. Okay. How is this going to come about in you? It's going to come about in you because you're in the process of discovering its truth. It has nothing to do with time at all. It's a statement that obviously, if time is your invention and it's the opposite of eternity, the time is not real. Right? Everybody agree? Now, the closest that you can get to knowing time is not real would be a moment, wouldn't it? Okay? That is doing what? Bringing your cause and your effect together. You see? This moment, then. Is this moment what eternity is? It's as close as you can get to it. How about this moment? How about this one? Well, what moment isn't as close as to eternity as you can get? None. Are all moments the same? Yes. There's only one. Do they contain all of the moments that you have structured in your thought form associations? Sure. Is it necessary for you to block off in your mind conceptual associations that have held you in the travesty of your own death association? Sure, that's the holy instances. Are they accumulating in you in the maturation of your body-mind association? Sure, that's the Course in Enlightenment. You're very fearful of hearing this because you want to be yourself and die of cancer. It's dumb. This is the Course. See, you're determined somehow to associate with this reality. Huh? You have the power of your mind to do that. You also have the power of your mind to be in God in heaven. Yes. Why? Power of mind is singular. We're back to singularity again. There only is your mind no matter what you may think about it. Finally, you don't think about it at all. You simply are it, aren't you? Okay? This is the Course in Miracles. Who wrote the Course in Miracles? Jesus Christ of Nazareth. No, he says he wrote it. He wrote it. Where is he? In your mind, right here.
So thank you for listening to that. Sorry for the background noises that I must have made, but I wasn't aware of. But anyway, it was great to listen to this, and for me it's kind of always like, oh my God, I actually used this, what he said, in what I was preparing for today. What an incredible coincidence, you could say. Like literally, that is happening, and I did not organize that, of course not. But this is lovely to see that. So bringing it back to what I can share with you today is exactly what you just heard. Now, in fact, it is not so different with what I shared. Like, what is Master Teacher sharing here In fact, that you recognize the pain of your brother. You don't separate yourself off from it. Well, like, for instance, this idea. Like, you don't separate yourself from it, you take responsibility for that situation. Like, you include your brother in. And this is one of the, say, this is the start of your teachership, you could say. Like, here you start to your agreement with God. And so I'm pulling up these sheets that I made, and you'll see it's like exactly what he was sharing with us just a moment ago. So it's close to eternity is the title that I gave it, because that's one of the expressions you heard just a moment ago. And I love that. Like, this is about the moment. Which moment is that? Well, it's right now. It's not any other moment. Is this as close as you can come to eternity? Yes. Is every moment the same? Yes. And so that's why I called it Close to Eternity. All right, so here we step right into this idea. Death is an impossible reaction to the single event of creation. Creation is only action. Reaction to truth is impossible. It is only action. So there's no reaction to truth. Creation is only action. Death is an interpretation of life, but life interpreted by death is meaningless. Creation is not an interpretive function. So that you could ponder for some time, and I'm inviting you to do so, because this has everything to do with an idea of cause and effect. Now, in time, it seems to be, philosophically interesting to ponder this as trying to understand it. And what I'm saying is, like, you are, in fact, if you have a bit of a philosophical mind, you want to get this, what it says, or intellectual mind, you want to get this, what it says. And in time, in an idea of duality, this in fact cannot be understood, just because of the fact that where this is really about is where it comes together. In other words, it's this, like, creation is only action. Well, if creation is only action and reaction is impossible, then you can say, like, it only knows how to give. And there's no opposition to that. Like, opposition is only an idea that belongs in time. And I'm not saying anything that you don't know, but I just love to bring it together. And here is a beautiful, step up to do so, because we're dealing here with fundamental ideas. Now, you can say, like, well, death cannot formulate life, right? It doesn't make sense. So if you extrapolate this to your three-dimensional existence that you think you make real, that you think is really there, that you think influences you, you see that would not be a definition of life, but really death trying to formulate what life is. And this is good to recognize, but it's also very deep in the sense of, it might sound very abstract if I say it like this, because you don't, and here's also the healing shift, you could say. The thing is that you don't see yourself in this existence as a manifestation of death, while everything, every step that you take in it, every second that dissolves into the past, brings you closer to a point where you cease to exist if I believe that this is real. So in other words, it is completely based on death, and it is associated with death much more than you're aware of right now. It's like everything has to do with that. we really think, like we as a human being, idea of yourself, think that life can be terminated, that life can stop being. Now that can only be true coming from a formulation of life formulated by death itself, you could say. So this is really like a gift to receive. And this specific information is a gift to receive, to release the pain that you connect to an idea of death or temporal existence, or who knows, like, you know what I'm talking about. It's like that. Here's your possibility to become free of that. That is what this is saying. Like, life cannot be defined by death. That has nothing to do with life. No, life has no reaction, has no other thing than the action itself, the creative action itself. Life is created action. So it's an expansion, it is a continuance, it is a growing, you could say. You can associate with that in your, you could see it as a tree. It's like it's continuously expanding. And in more and more, ways. All right, so. Okay, so one more time. Death is an impossible reaction to the single event of creation. Creation is only action. Reaction to truth is impossible. Death is an interpretation of life, but life, interpreted by death, is meaningless. Creation is not an interpretive function. Eternity is reached by dissociation from time. And you saw this, you heard this. Eternity is reached by dissociation from time. Time is nothing more than the conceptual distance between cause and effect. Yeah, that's what I just said too. It's like, I'm thinking that's going to happen. Cause and effect. I'm thinking that, like in the lesson of today, I have no neutral thoughts. The thought is first, then something is going to happen. So I do believe that is what is going on. And see, this is how fundamental it is. And you do it. You literally do it on a continuing basis. First you think, then you get the result of your thinking. And you might turn that around in thinking that something influences what you are thinking. But this cannot be so because the thought was first. Okay, so this is great. Coming from time to eternity then is only the practice of bringing cause and effect together. So when are they coming together? Is the question. When are cause and effect coming together? Well, here actually is the answer. Coming from time, from an idea that cause and effect are separate, to eternity, is then only the practice of bringing those two together. So in eternity, cause and effect are one. Father and Son are united. I'm a whole part of my Father. I'm a son because of my Father. I cannot be separate because cause and effect cannot be separate. In eternity, cause and effect cannot be separate. This is my truth. The workbook of A Course in Miracles provides uncompromising discipline in the technique of dissociational thinking. You dissociate from time, right? Nothing I see means anything. I've given everything the meaning that it has for me. I'm not upset for the reason that I think. It's like I have no neutral thoughts. It are only images that I've made. It's image making, it's not even thinking. All this comes back. And you heard some examples of master teacher too, to bring about a literal transformation of your perceptual mind, the mind that actually is focused on 5 senses, in which it tries to determine what is going on and how to respond to it, as in like there are certain things happening outside of it, and it wants to deal with it, and it tries to solve it, and it tries to, say, survive at least. Now, it is a passionate assertion of the insanity of conceptual thought, which is what the earth is, in its denial of a single whole truth or God. Now, this is great. Now, I want to bring this back because I don't want to make this dramatic of any kind, but seeing a man, 18 years old, an US Marine, whether he's standing right in the middle of Israel, whether he's standing right in the middle of Afghanistan, whether he's standing right in the middle of the Red Sea, whether he's standing in the middle of who knows where, looking at what is actually going on, seeing that this world is full of conflict, seeing that there must be something else going on. This cannot be it. It's still the same story as today for many US soldiers, and Russian soldiers as well. It's like, what the heck is going on here? Why am I attacking my brother? That question is arising. Like, what is going on? And now it's arising in you. What on earth is going on? Reacting to one another, reacting to this, reacting to that, tweeting this, tweeting that, social media, fake news, right news, intelligence, whatever. It's like this whole thing that you can validate as a reality for yourself, which it isn't, is continuously asking you to react. Now, what do we learn here? Reality is only created action. It is not reaction. Where would it react to? To itself? No, it has recognized that it is all that is. It is not anything else. It cannot be anything else than itself. Now I ask you, where is your conflict? Where is your opponent? Where is your enemy? Where is your dictator? Where is your slave? Where is your prisoner? And on and on and on. It's like this is where we're talking about. Like, it has this intensity, you could say. It is as real as anything. It's like this is literally your possibility to get out of the restrictions and confinements of your human thinking, your conceptual thought, your conceptual associations, or whatever you call it. So this is great to discover today. There's nothing opposing you. There's nothing to react to. There's nothing attacking you. Immediately cause and effect come together, and in fact, like, help you to see eternity. You are so close to eternity. The only thing that you have to do is to give up reacting to what you think is going on, and everything would, say, explode in bliss instead of destruction or limitation. That's the only thing that is necessary for my, say, perceptual idea of what I think is going on here. It has to be brought back to me. Cause and effect are not apart. Reality is only created action. It is not a reaction to anything. See, this sentence covers it. It is a passionate assertion of the insanity of conceptual thought, which is what the earth is, in its denial of a single whole truth, which is the only reality. Now, you say to me, how did I ever get into this? How come now here we sit? How come here now you, a human being on the planet Earth, suddenly finding yourself sitting in this room in a place called Denver, or wherever you find yourself, in a state called Colorado, wherever that is for you, on a planet Earth, in a galaxy, in whole association with your own mind? How come that you find yourself here? What are we going to tell you? In time, at any moment, you can decide to utilize your perceptual associations through the administering of God or wholeness contained within you. At the end of this time association, to make the declaration that you are whole and that truth and love and heaven is all around you. Now that is a fact. So it needs to come, you need to come to the declaration, what is true? What is truth? I'm whole and perfect as I was created. Truth and love and heaven is all around me. That's the only thing that is real about me. It is in me, it is around me. That is a fact. How is this going to come about in you? Like how is this going to happen? It is going to come about in you because you are in the process of discovering it is true. It has nothing to do with time at all. It is a statement that obviously, if time is your invention, and it is the opposite of eternity, that time cannot be real, like it is not real, right? Does everybody agree? Do you? Now here, the closest you can get to knowing time is not real. The closest you can get to knowing time is not real would be a moment, wouldn't it? Doing what? Bringing cause and your effect together. This moment then, is this moment what eternity is? It is as close as you can get to it. How about this moment? And how about this moment? How about this one? Well, what moment isn't as close to eternity as you can get? None. All moments are the same. There is only one moment. Do they contain all of the moments that you have structured in your own thought form associations? Like you literally made a timeline in your mind, and do all these moments that you have constructed, do they contain all these moments? Yeah. Is it necessary for you to block off in your own mind associations that have held you in the travesty of your own death association? Sure. That's the holy instance. Are they accumulating in you in the maturation of your body-mind association? Yeah, sure. That is the course in enlightenment. So we heard in the beginning of the talk of Master Teacher, like we're going to the hardware of the course, the hardware of enlightenment, you could say. So this is where we stop. So do they contain all the moments? Does this moment of eternity contain all the moments that you have structured in your thought form associations? Yes, absolutely. Is it necessary for you to block off in your mind conceptual associations that you have held in the travesty of your own death association? Sure. You can say like, am I allowing this moment to be whole and perfect and complete without opposite? This is the only thing that's being asked. Like, if this moment isn't perfect, which moment is it? Is it going to be this one, or this one, or this one? Does it make any difference? No, it does not. Is time passing? No. Is there a reason to react to time and all this? No. So how does this, the question is like, how did this come about then? How do you do this? Well, not stretching this in time, not doing the thing that the human mind does automatically, and that is associating in time, trying to link everything up on a timeline, rooted in time and place and location and all of this. So there are a lot of things that you don't have to do anymore. Now this is what you learn, you could say, by, in fact, disassociating, like letting go of the associations that you kept yourself busy with in being a human being, being in human thought, reacting to things that are occurring, seeing that you have an identity in time, that you are someone in time, letting all that dissociate, letting your whole world, you could say, fall apart. Because you see now, you recognize now that it was of your own making, into every detail, that the world is nothing by itself, that your mind must give it meaning in order for it to be there in the first place. And on and on and on. It's unbelievable. So that is really what A Course in Miracles does and is. It's like the dissociation of your associations with time. That's about the easiest way to say it. And so that's a temporary activity. You don't have to do this forever. Because recognizing truth, recognizing that that is you, is all, in fact, that matters. That you can be in time without losing your peace, recognizing that you're not rooted in time, that you're not, in fact, not in time at all, but just staying in the present moment all the time by letting go of what you think is going on, or what you think needs to happen, or what you think needs a reaction from you. Now you start to trust the created action that is extending from you, and you see it at work. So that is exactly what A Course in Miracles is, and that's why it's so great to share this with you in this moment, and in this moment, and that just keeps on going. It will not change. So that's why you see with the manual for teachers, how great is that? It's like, yeah, everyone's way to come to this is different. It can be with words, it can be without words, it can be completely quiet, it can be creative, it can be, who knows, however this comes to you, by you studying, by you for a moment looking at the Gospel of Thomas, or by you getting into quantum physics, discovering the quantum light work, or however this is coming to you. Now it all starts to make sense, because it is literally, it will come to you the way that it will work for you, to help you dissociate from time and space, recognizing that it had no reality in the first place. So, and of course, coming into a deeper and deeper experience of your love for your Father, because in this moment, this would be the time to experience that. Cause and effect come together. Well, that is a love entanglement of the first order. That is you loving your Father, at the same time receiving all the love of your Father. What a synchronicity. What an incredible occurrence on a continuing basis, without reaction, only created action. Total love, unconditional, with an capacity and an expansion that you have no words for. So thank you for sharing that with me and joining in that, because I can see that you're glitching right into it. And that's exactly what should happen. Like, this world as we know it now is full of miracles, because there's the invitation to enter deeper into your experience of love and connectedness all the time. And this, you allow yourself to go deeper into that, not worrying about any reaction or response, because you recognize there is nobody out there that can respond to me. No, I'm the extension of the creative action. That is the flow through me, to me, from me, in me, by me. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.